Hello?
Hello. I keep getting calls from LaLana, and she wants to know where her mother is. She pulled a gun on you. You took it off her and shot her, right?
Yeah, that's one story.
This recording appears to resemble a confession tape, but in this particular situation, nothing is as straightforward as it seems. On October 12, 1980, LaLana Bramble, a 9-year-old girl, experiences a life-altering event when her mother, Marlene, leaves their home but never returns. Her husband, Bill, spends hours searching for her but to no avail. LaLana is left with the belief that her mother abandoned her. The following day, on October 13th, the police begin their investigation, focusing on a man named Glenn St. Hilarie, who had an affair with Marlene. When questioned by the authorities, St. Hilarie hands over Marlene's diaries. However, just a few hours later, the police release him, and Marlene's case grows cold. For more than 2 decades, the circumstances surrounding Marlene's disappearance remain an enigma. Little did LaLana know that the diaries contained a hidden secret that posed a serious threat to Marlene's children. Marlene had a deep love for her 2 kids, and there was no way she would have left without taking them with her.
Marlene loved those 2 kids, and there was no way in the world she would have left and not taken the kids with her.
You have pulled off the perfect crime, haven't you?
No, I wouldn't call it perfect, because if a crime was perfect, nobody would ever know about it.
The very least I can do as her child is see that she gets justice.
The year is 1980, and in the small town of Verona, Kentucky, 4-year-old LaLana resides with her parents, Marlene and Bill, along with her 8-year-old brother, Donald. Marlene and Bill Major have been married for 9 years, and while they may appear content to the outside world, their marriage is far from what it seems. The household is plagued by constant fights, creating an unstable environment for both children. In the early summer of 1980, Bill encounters 28-year-old Glenn St. Hilarie, who is hired as a regular handyman to assist the family with various tasks around the house. With time, Glenn develops a close friendship with the married couple. Strangely, Bill seems to encourage Marlene and Glenn to spend time alone together. As the months pass, the conflicts between Bill and Marlene escalate, culminating in a day when Marlene threatens to leave him and take the children with her. On October 12th, a pivotal night, LaLana and Donald are peacefully asleep in their respective bedrooms, just like any other night. However, the tranquility is shattered when Bill abruptly awakens the children and hurries them next door to their neighbor's house. He reassures them that he will only be away for a few hours and instructs them not to worry. When they wake up the following morning, they discover that their mother is nowhere to be found.
She didn't have her driver's license or social security card. She had nothing with her. It was literally like she had just completely dropped off the face of the earth.
October 13th, 1980. One day later, Glenn, the close family friend, is at the police station talking to a detectives.
Glenn St. Hilaire explained to me that a girl by the name of Marlene Major is missing.
The mom of 2 has yet to return home. No one can find her, and her kids are worried. Although Glenn is the one who reported the missing woman, the police become suspicious of him.
Glenn St. Hilaire would be a good suspect, and now he's coming in to report someone else's wife missing. A little bit unusual.
The police actually investigated him and suspected him of having something to do with her disappearance.
However, police need more information and go to Marilyn's husband Bill to understand his side of the story. Bill tells police a shocking revelation: his wife was having an affair with Glenn, and that on the night of her disappearance she left in her car to go see the 18-year-old man.
We have 2 people who are reporting the same person missing. They're both pointing fingers, and so the concern is what really happened. Bill's story is believable because one spouse isn't happy with the other, and a lot of times it'll take the kids and leave. All indications was that she left in her car.
The 2 men's versions of the story don't add up, and now police are worried for Marlene's safety. They talk to the neighbors and possible witnesses, but no one has seen or heard anything.
We're able to search the immediate area within days of this happening and couldn't find any indication of any foul play, blood, or anything.
With no significant leads in the immediate vicinity, detectives decide to share Marlene Major's profile with various law enforcement agencies to broaden the search.
Her dental records were faxed all over the United States. Anytime there was a woman of her approximate build and approximate age who was found, I'd say they were probably faxed at least 25 different times.
Glenn appears genuinely concerned for Marlene and is eager to assist the detectives in locating her. He presents a potentially crucial piece of evidence, Marlene's secret diary. Inside the diary, Marlene has written about her children being in grave danger, raising even more questions and deepening the mystery surrounding her disappearance.
Marlene couldn't even tell that horrific secret to her own family, but she did record it in her diary. Not in specific detail, but enough that you know what she's talking about.
But unfortunately, the detectives find themselves unable to take any action based on what the mom has written.
Legally, we had all kinds of problems with trying to make a case out of vagueness in the diaries. She didn't get specific, so there wasn't a whole lot we could do with that at that time.
Even though what is written in the diary is compelling, it cannot be used to convict anyone because usually diaries are considered hearsay in court. Unbeknownst to the investigators, the diary would later be vital in solving the case, but for the time being Marlene's diary will remain on a police investigation shelf for 2 decades unseen from the 2 children until LaLana becomes an adult with 2 potential suspects in mind, but still zero evidence to go on. The investigators can't go much further and let both men return home only a few days after Bill takes the 2 children and moves to Pawtucket, Rhode Island. At first LaLana thinks it's only temporary, but quickly learns it's not.
We got told that we were going to live there now. We had no idea, and we're completely taken aback.
It's now late October 1980. LaLana and Donald are finally given an explanation about their mom as their dad sits them down and coldly says that their mother has abandoned them, ran away with a boyfriend, and that they will never see her again.
My dad had basically told us that she was a drug addict, alcoholic prostitute, who just really didn't care about us, and that she had run off with another man.
LaLana doesn't move. She has not yet fully grasped what her father really means. In her confusion, only one thing stays clear in her mind. With their mom gone, who will protect them against their father? Meanwhile, back in Kentucky, the police investigation comes to a standstill.
I couldn't even call the case a murder case because I had no evidence to show that she was dead. We had nothing. It's not that I gave up. I never gave up. You're always hoping something will pop up, but up to this point, things were looking pretty bleak for us.
But LaLana can't stop thinking of her mom. Even if she believes her mother has abandoned them, the little girl misses her and dreams that she will come back one day.
There's that fuzzy moment where you're starting to wake up, and you're not quite awake, but you're not totally asleep either. And there was a lot of days that I would hit that moment and I would stop and I would listen. And I just knew that there was going to be a knock on the door, and it was going to be her.
It's now 1981. The family has been living in Rhode Island for 1 year.
From the outside looking in, nobody had any clue what was going on inside that household.
The 5-year-old girl still hasn't heard from her mother, and whenever she asks her father about her whereabouts or if he received news from her, he suddenly lashes out and becomes enraged, even violent towards her and her brother. The violence escalates over time to the point where going to school has become difficult for the siblings, constantly needing to cover up their injuries.
I've seen him beat my brother to the point Donald could not pick himself up off the floor. You would miss school because you had bruises.
But that's not the worst part for the little girl. Her dad starts to force her to do things no child should ever do.
His favorite threat was, if you don't do what I tell you to do, if you don't do what I want you to do, I'll kill your brother. And he would turn around and tell my brother, if you don't do what I tell you to, I'll kill your sister. So he used our feelings for each other, our love for one another, against us.
In the meantime, Kentucky law enforcement officers continue to lack fresh evidence regarding the disappearance of Marlene. Without a body, their ability to secure a conviction remains limited. It has been 3 years since the incident in 1984, and LaLana, who was just 5 at the time, is now 8 years old. Her mother is still missing, and there have been no updates on the case. However, it's possible that someone possesses information about her whereabouts. One fateful day, after school, the situation takes a distressing turn as Donald is out with his friends, leaving LaLana alone with her father.
And I was outside in front of the trailer playing in the yard, and he grabbed me by the back of the hair and he threw me in the trailer. And he took a gun and he shoved it in my face. And he told me that if I did not learn to keep my mouth shut, he would blow my head off.
LaLana is left alone, gripped by fear. The young girl has become adept at concealing the truth about what occurs within the household. It's now 1985, and her father has remarried a woman named Pauline, who has become the new stepmother to both LaLana and Donald. On the surface, their blended family may appear typical, but the reality within the Majors household remains unchanged. LaLana persists in her silence, guarding herself and her younger brother. However, one day, while they are alone in a room, 13-year-old Donald approaches his little sister and informs her that their lives will be forever altered from that moment onward.
Donald said to me, he said, "It's over." He said, "He's not going to hurt us anymore." And I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "I told Pauline, and she caught the cops, and they're going to arrest him." My first reaction was, we're both dead.
LaLana paces nervously around the room, her anxiety mounting as her brother breaks the silence. They both remain uncertain about how their father will react, as his violent outbursts have always been unpredictable and frightening for the two children. It's August 10th, around 7 p.m. The entire family is at home when suddenly, there's a loud knock at the Major's door. LaLana is petrified, and she and Donald quickly hide behind a corner. Their hearts race as they watch in disbelief, their fear intensifying, as a group of police officers rush onto the property. They witness their father being taken into custody, his hands in handcuffs, an event that further deepens the turmoil in their already troubled lives.
I remember watching them put the handcuffs on him, and he turned around and he looked down that hallway at us, and I was just like, we're dead. I'm like, if they don't keep him, we're dead.
After their father, Bill Major, is sentenced to only 15 years behind bars with the possibility of parole, 9-year-old LaLana and 13-year-old Donald move back to Kentucky to live with their maternal grandmother. They attempt to live as normal children, but there is an underlying sense that something is still profoundly wrong at home. Everyone avoids discussing Marlene's disappearance. It's been 5 years since she vanished, and no one seems to be actively searching for her. LaLana struggles to come to terms with the fact that her mother may never return and deeply misses her. One day, LaLana finds herself alone with her grandmother, presenting the perfect opportunity to ask about her mother's disappearance for the first time.
We were sitting in the parking lot in front of a department store, and I said, "Well, do you know where my mother is? Have you seen her? Have you heard from her?" It was just like 10 seconds of absolute silence. And she looked at me, she said, "Honey," she said, "your mother's dead." She said, "She's been dead." She said, "Your father killed her."
LaLana is deeply shocked by her grandmother's revelation. It contradicts everything her father had told her and Donald throughout their lives, as he insisted that their mother had run away and didn't love them. Now, her grandmother is sharing a different narrative, suggesting that Marlene might have been a victim of Bill. However, the frustrating truth is that no one has actively searched for Marlene in years, and there is no concrete evidence to support any theory. Feeling a sense of determination and responsibility, LaLana realizes that she must take matters into her own hands to uncover the truth about her mother's disappearance and potentially find closure after years of uncertainty.
I got a composition notebook, it cost me like 99 cents at Walmart, and if I talked to somebody, I wrote the date, the time, and what the conversation was over.
LaLana is relentless in her pursuit of information regarding her mother's cold case, despite limited resources. She tirelessly gathers whatever details she can find, determined to piece together the puzzle and discover the truth about her mother's disappearance. However, in 1997, the situation takes a perilous turn. Her father, Bill, is unexpectedly released from jail on good behavior, having served only 12 years of his 15-year sentence. This unexpected turn of events adds a new layer of complexity to LaLana's quest for answers and potentially puts her in a dangerous and precarious situation, as her father's return could threaten her efforts to uncover the truth about her mother's disappearance.
When he finally got out of jail, I was terrified he was going to hunt me down. That even after all that time, if there was a way he could get to me, he would.
More anxious than ever to solve her mom's disappearance and find evidence to put her father in jail for life, LaLana goes to the police station and demands access to her mom's files. They've been untouched for over 17 years, including her mom's diary, which has been held as evidence by detectives and never seen by LaLana, but now since she's finally of legal age, she's granted access to the whole police investigation, and for the first time in her life, LaLana reads her mom's diaries.
I got up early this morning and went to get Donald up for school and caught Bill with him. He tried to hide what they were doing, but I know what I saw. I told him not to touch me ever again, and if he touches Donald, I'll kill him.
LaLana is in a state of shock. Her whole life she believed her mom ran away and never loved her, but she now realizes that all along her mom knew about her father's abusive behavior and was prepared to fight for the safety of her children. She soon discovers another disturbing piece of information. Inside her mom's file in 1981, a year after her mom's disappearance, a man had discovered a skull in a farm in Boone County, Kentucky, about a mile from Major's old home. At the time of the discovery in the 1980s, science wasn't advanced enough to test bone material for DNA, so in order to identify a body, they needed teeth to compare to dental records, but unfortunately that wasn't possible.
He would have manipulated her head to pull her teeth out and to remove her lower jaw. Remind you of horror movies that you watched on TV.
There was no face, there was no jaw. It was just the top of the skull that had a distinct bullet hole right in the top of it.
LaLana then decided to go back to Boone County and search for herself. If she finds the rest of those remains, identification will be possible, and it will be one step closer to finding out what really happened to her mom. When she arrives at the site, she takes out her shovel from her car and digs.
I was really hoping to find something, because I was like, if I could find something, if I could, that would be something more than we have now. If I could find the rest of her body, but at the same time, it was constant terror that I would find something.
But despite all her efforts, she doesn't find anything. LaLana is exhausted and stops searching for the night. When all of a sudden a break in the case happens, LaLana receives the news that with new lab technology, they now only need a small sample from the skull to create a DNA profile.
The one thing that was holding up the prosecution and finally getting justice for her and being able to get closure for my family, being able to lay her to rest, hinged on that DNA test. It came back that it wasn't her. You have to start all over.
After the forensic evidence returns back from the lab, it is proved by DNA that the skull did in fact belong to Marlene. The missing case of Marlene Major has officially become a murder case.
Learning 110%, she's gone. No coming back, no chance.
LaLana is crushed by the confirmation, but despite her broken heart, her fight is not over yet. She realizes that her last option is to confront her own father and try to get a confession out him. LaLana calls him and asks about her mom's disappearance.
Just tell me what you did with her body so we can bury her, and I'll leave you alone. I said, I won't force the issue, won't try to get you prosecuted. And he laughed at me. And his specific words to me were, if you think I'm going to tell you where your mother's body is, you're crazy. So at that point I told him, I said, okay, fine, it's on.
LaLana is determined to get a full confession from her dad, which is the only way to prove him guilty. Her drive to solve her mom's murder inspires a new detective, Todd Kenner, to work on the cold case. Detective Kenner comes up with a plan. He asks Jim Major, Bill's father, to call his son and have the police record the conversation in an attempt to get a confession.
We were after was to get what details he could out of him.
Bill, I said, I'm calling you up, I want to know something. He said, what's that? I said, why won't you tell me where you buried Marlene?
I keep getting calls from LaLana, and she wants to know where her mother is so that she can get the bones and put them in a casket and have closure.
Yeah, and put me in jail for life.
Christ, at least you could be decent enough to say where you dumped her. I'll tip her where the body is if you let me know.
And then she's gonna bounce it right back on me again. Then I'll have them Kentucky cops coming up here to arrest me and take me back down there again.
There was no denial there. He's basically saying if I tell the truth, I'm going to jail.
You have pulled off the perfect crime, haven't you?
No, I wouldn't call it perfect. Because if a crime was perfect, nobody would ever know about it. That's when the cop says, we got him. We got him.
Don't you even feel bad for killing her?
I don't have any kind of conscience about anything.
To think that the son I raised could do such a thing.
The no good son of a bitch would hang him myself if I could get my hands on him. He don't deserve to breathe the air.
With the DNA matched on the skull and this incriminating phone call, police have enough to arrest Bill for the murder of Marlene Major in 1980 on the 25th of June, 2001 in Fairhaven, Massachusetts. Bill was arrested at his home for murdering his wife on the way back to Boone County in the back of a police car. He openly confesses about what really happened 21 years ago. It was late at night on October 12, 1980. Marlene and Bill were fighting downstairs when the conversation ended with Marlene threatening to leave him and take the children. She exited the house and got into her car, and he followed her.
She was screaming at me, I couldn't take it anymore, and he said that's when I shot her.
And after he shot her in the head, he would cut her head off, knock her teeth out with the butt of the gun, and then he would remove her jaw, and cut her up in little pieces and spread her throughout the state.
He claims that he got rid of the gun and the pond and left his wife's skull in a sinkhole. He then pushed her car into the Ohio River.
I think the crime scene was probably contained to the vehicle, and so the body and all the evidence of the crime remained in that vehicle. So when he got rid of the vehicle, he essentially got rid of the crime scene.
During the next few days, despite intense searching, police are unable to find the gun, the car, or Marlene's remains. However, the prosecution possesses sufficient evidence, including positive DNA testing and Bill's confession to his dad, to successfully indict the killer. July 28, 2003, Bill Major is trialed for the murder of his wife Marlene and tampering with physical evidence. Glenn St. Hilarie, the family's handyman and alleged lover of Marlene, takes the stand and describes how Bill Major seemed to push him and Marlene to be alone together and encouraged him to have a romantic relationship with his wife. Both LaLana and Donald are there to make sure justice is served, and they testify about the molestation they endured growing up. LaLana describes how Bill threatened to kill her if she didn't keep their secret. The court stays silent as they listen to the harrowing tales of the siblings. It takes a jury less than an hour to find him guilty.
And when the verdict came back, I just almost dropped. I did. If my brother hadn't had a hold of me, I would have collapsed.
Bill is sentenced to life without parole. During the final remarks, officers note how much LaLana truly loved and cared for her mom.
LaLana had been driven for a long time to bring closure to this and to bring her father to justice. I mean, it was obvious, you could see the passion for this in her eyes, the way she talked. Even though she didn't really know her mother that well, she was just a child when all this occurred, she had a lot of love for her mother.
Today, after having confronted her dad and finding out the truth about what really happened to her mom, she proves that her mother never abandoned them. LaLana and Donald's mom actually did the opposite and gave up her life trying to protect them from the monster they called Dad.
I have spent so much of my life absolutely terrified of that man. And now I don't feel anything for him. And I finally felt a sense of peace that day, that she finally could rest.
Throughout the years, Donald has kept supporting LaLana, and together they broke the cycle of abuse created by their father. Even though it took years for LaLana to heal from the wounds created by her father, she's living proof that even after tragedy there's a life worth living. With incredible strength and resilience, she managed to face her own demons in the name of her mom.
Ultimately, she died to protect us. You know, she was trying to get us away from him and to get us out of that situation. She was trying to protect her children.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, press the bell button, like the video, and write your opinions in the description. See you guys in the next video.